Now, Steve, it looks like the IBF is grown a set. They've decided that Jai Opetaia, who is fighting, or by the time you listen to this, maybe already has fought for the Zuffa title, and the IBF stripped him of this. And I see you over there, whatever, the Zuffa title or whatever. But let's be honest, Steve, the IBF title is literally anything with I and B in the name of it. Automatically, I'm like, oh, this is literally a bowel problem.
Well, I bet it was a bowel problem for Dana White when he heard that, because he's got a troublesome fighter called Jai Opetaia, who will not stop talking about unifying. He wants to unify. Bit of Power Station again for you there, which I love. And he's always saying, after obscenities and epithets, which he loves to pepper his conversation with, the bleep button is on overdrive when he's talking, which is great. But he's always saying, yeah, I want to unify. I want to be undisputed. Who doesn't want to see those fights?
Sure. And
now he's got to be thinking, and Dana's got to be thinking, because he got there with a belt. He's going to beat Brandon Glanton tomorrow night, surely. And he would have had the 2 belts, and now he's only got the possibility. In fact, he's got no belts. When that bell rings, he'll have no belts. That is not that's not the position or the direction that Jai Opetaia wanted. And whether it is the IBF or the IBS belt, he wants all those belts. For him and for Zuffa and for Dana White, this is a really bad look. And the IBF have really grown a pair, as you say. Good on them.
But I can understand why they wouldn't want this to happen. If you look at the rankings, right? Jai Opetaia is the IBF champion. Okay. Brandon Glanton is ranked number 15. Who says, yes, the number 15 guy gets a title shot? It's pretty simple. You know what I mean? And here then becomes the problem that I've said for so many times, is that the distinction of rankings in between the different sanctioning bodies. Chris Billum-Smith seems to have, as far as cruiserweight goes, he's kind of across the board. You know what I mean? He's ranked in almost every single one of them. But Ryan Rozicki, who is the mandatory for the WBC, who just got a win, just ended up beating a guy who wasn't even ranked really, and beat him in the second round. But he's the mandatory for the WBC belt. Well, in the WBC, Brandon Glanton, the guy who's ranked number 15 in the IBF, he's ranked number 8 in the WBC. Now, I'm telling you right now that in the grand scheme of things, who has better champions, who has better fighters as champions, it's not the IBF, brother. It's the WBC. So the fact that the IBF thinks that this guy who the WBC thinks is number 5 only ranks him at number 15, that right there tells me that there's huge problems with these rankings to begin with.
Oh, right? Yes, absolutely. And there's always been problems with rankings because it's always about the business of boxing and, where do you want to go, governor, mate, perhaps, and, where would you like to be parachuted in, Eddie, Connor, where would you like to be parachuted in, all of that. I've mentioned that several times, but I think quite apart from that, it is for the IBF about, do you know what, Dana? Do you know what, Zuffa? You never asked us. And that is why we are not.
Well, we discussed this. You never asked us bullshit last week, and look how that fucking turned out for you.
Yeah, right? but they've got a pair. Whereas Mauricio went, okay, within a few hours, we've all agreed. The IBF have said, they might have asked them, but it seemed to me from what I saw that Zuffa were thinking, we'll just have the two together. That'll be fine. And the IBF said, whoa, hang on a minute. And they followed through. This is a big power move, bigger than the WBC one. It's surprising, and I for one am really interested in what happens next.
Do you think they would pull this kind of power move? Because if you look at the rankings right now, the WBO champion is Zurdo Ramirez, who's also the WBA champion. Jai Opetaia is no longer, but was the IBF champion. And the WBC champion is kind of like a split thing because there's an interim world champion, Noel McCallion and Michael Cieslak, with Ryan Rizicki being the mandatory off of that one. The IBF doesn't even have anybody ranked number 1 or number 2. So now they've taken the belt away from Jai Opetaia, and they're probably, if you're going to do it, you're going to have their number 3 guy and their number 4 guy would make sense to fight for that title, right? Which is Chris Billum-Smith and Matus Masternak.
That's right.
That has the excitement of watching snooker all over it. Okay. Actually, it's be the excitement of watching snooker balls dry. Like, yeah, painted snooker balls drying is the equivalent of what that fight means to me. There's nothing on that. So here's my question. Let's say, because we know that David Benavidez is going to be fighting Zurdo, right? They've allowed this. Let's say David Benavidez, because for all intents and purposes, David Benavidez should come in and win that fight. Now David Benavidez is the champion. What if David Benavidez went to, I've said his name way too many times. What if he goes to the sanctioning bodies and says, hey, I would like to fight Jai Opetaia to solidify all of these belts? Do you think that they would say no, or do you think that they're going to do it?
The sanctioning bodies will say yes, because that is their power move. So what David Benavidez, and I've said it now, will do is he'll go to Zuffa Boxing and say, I'm a big name. You want me? It's a big fight. You want it? And they're going to say, yes, please come here. But that will be him going to Zuffa rather than Zuffa saying, your belt, it'll look good next to that Zuffa belt. That's the difference, isn't it? Plus, Cali Sauerland has actually said that he wants Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder to fight for that WBF belt, IBF belt.
Does he not know what weight classes are?
Well, anybody could be anything now. You could be a strawweight and fight a cruiserweight these days, apparently.
Yes. And this opens up the thing, because we talked about it last week with the implications of Alexander Usyk fighting Rico Verhoeven. If Rico Verhoeven wins this, and now all of a sudden he's the WBC champion, but that's not the only belt that Alexander Usyk holds. So are the other sanctioning bodies going to put up their belts in this? Is this going to be a for everything kind of fight?
I can't expect so. I expect the other sanctioning bodies went, you did what now? You had a meeting in the evening and you agreed? You did what? You would be expected that somebody from maybe the IBF or the WBO or WBA is talking to Mauricio the following day going, yeah, it almost be as ridiculous as you putting up your WBC belt for that Verhoeven fight. Yeah, I did. What? It's that. It's a really... I don't know what Mauricio Sullivan and the WBC get out of this. It would be far better for him to have that piss take, to say, well, look, we're going to give you a belt with loads of pyramids on it. We got this really nice belt, which I loved. I don't know what he gets out of it other than, I can work with Turkey Al Sheikh. Yeah. I mean, that's the main thing. But it is, I mean, I'm not expecting that Usyk will lose this fight at all. But if he did, as you say, they're in a lot of trouble.
It's going to get very interesting if he does. There's no doubt about it. Here's my question with Zuffa and fighting against all of these other sanctioning bodies. And then you see, a guy like Jake Paul come along with MVP, who's kind of like putting it in the mix for women's boxing as well. And other these smaller, organizations. You got Boxer with Ben Shalom on the BBC. We've seen in the past with Dana and the UFC, what they've done with some of these other organizations is some of these organizations get to a certain point and then they bring them under their umbrella. Do you think that we could be seeing a situation where you have, hey, on Zuffa, right, we have this, because remember when they bought Strikeforce, could Zuffa Boxing buy MVP? Is MVP trying to build this women's brand so that they can just sell it? I mean, and we know the business practices, that's kind of, what you do, right? Jake's the kind of guy who maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe Jake is going to end up selling MVP and all of the catalog, all of the women boxes, all of that, and right over to Zuffa. And this is another building step to make Zuffa that much bigger. But along with this deal is that Jake is, involved with the business end, puts him at the table.
Yeah, it's a great take, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. Get a few cards under your belt, say to Zuffa, that's tasty, isn't it? Look at how many people are there. Look at, women's boxing's coming up. You may not be a very proficient or experienced with women's boxing, but I am. So let me be, let Nikisa and I come in and be a sort of boutique, like Canelo Alvarez is going to get, a boutique promotion within Zuffa. Yeah. And I can also be on your legends and crossover boxing matches, big matches.
Well, I mean, it seems like you have a lot of, like, boxing still has a lot of, like, individuality where they have, like, the smaller markets and they do this kind of stuff. But as a UFC, their fighters come from all over the place. Their fighters come from all over the world, and they do shows all over the world. So I could very well see them doing some kind of a deal, Zuffa doing some kind of a deal with Boxer, because now you've got your Brits. Doing some kind of a deal with MVP, because now you've got the females. Hell, I don't know if you saw this one or not, but it looks like Iceland is getting its first ever live event, so they could end up doing something there as well. Apparently, Halfthor is a very common name. That is Steve in Iceland, apparently. So you can see this. We already see that there's a huge movement. There's a huge Japanese boxing market. You could see Zuffa going around and picking up these smaller markets to suit their needs to be able to pluck from as well, because that's a move that they're very familiar with in doing in the MMA world.
Yeah, and you're looking at opening markets in Africa as well, and, Democratic Republic of Congo and all of that. So, yes, there are bigger markets still to tap. Yeah. So, yes, they will be able to do that. Yeah, Iceland has come online. That's great. So, they will be able to munch that up. But at the moment, we've still got jostling at that table. You've still got the sanctioning body saying you don't get to have the mashed potato. I've got the mashed potato and you don't get it. And, the turkey crown, I'll have half of that because half of that's got my belt on it. So, I'll have the nice bigger part of that. At some point, Zuffa Boxing are going to say, just give me that shit. But right now, they're thinking, what's the next play? It's so exciting. I keep saying this. It's so exciting at the moment. I think all in play.
I think it's markets. I think that promoters up to this point have gone after boxers. I think that Zuffa is going to go after markets. I think that they're going to go after an American market, a female market, a British market, a South African market, a Mexican market. I think that'll be the next move for them, because that's what they do. They go after markets. They're not looking for individuals. The individuals are going to come along with it.
Yeah. And that's why MVP and Jake Paul and Nikisa Badarian are so clever with this, because by patterning what they do, they say we're in the markets as well. The women's market, we've got it sewn up. So, we might look at some others, but we've got that sewn up. We can deliver it to you wholesale, however you'd like, either completely or we get a part of it. It's extraordinarily good for them.
And it's good for us. It's good for us as well, because we're going to get a shit ton of boxing because of it, because everybody's going to be looking for a place, right? I'm excited about it. Steve, as always, a pleasure, an absolute thrill. One thing though, I don't know, like, along with this Icelandic thing, did you actually hear about this one?
Come to the children. Wu-Tang is for the children. We teach the children.
You said, I kind of know you're going to set it up, and I think maybe he's not. Maybe he's thinking of something else he's talking about. Every time you get me.
Well, that's just it. It's like a liver shot, Steve. You never know what's going to happen, right? And there's nothing you can do about a liver shot. But one thing that you can do, my friend, and all of you can do out there, you can hit that like, you can hit that subscribe. And the one thing, that's the only thing you can do for us. But in life, you got to remember one thing. Tuck that